Hmm. good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Village Radio Talk Show. I am Roderick Daly, Rudy, your host. I'm going to be on for a little bit. I'm hanging out here in an Airbnb in Japan, enjoying early morning. It's what is it? It's 8:30 here in the morning. Uh, what is it? Friday morning? Yeah, it's Friday morning. So we're a little early on my side, but it's it's interesting, right? It's interesting being in. Um, I'm no longer suffering from jet lag after 8 days of jet lag, right? Today, I'm joking. Yeah, actually, it is about 8 days. I'm not really counting the numbers, but it's about where I am, and probably gonna have some breakfast and call it a day. So, what's going on in the other side of the world, outside of the Orient? What exactly is going on? We have a Before you answer that, thank you for watching, viewing, sharing, and participating on the Village Radio Talk Show, where it is about you, right? Where we're dedicated to empowering the community to live a healthy, safe, and financially capable life through education, helping each one of us in realizing our dreams at any age, at any point, starting from today. Success is not just spoken, it is done. What are you doing to be successful? So, with all of that being said, right, I'm alone for a little bit to start. I wasn't here. Well, technically, I tried to be on the show last week, but I was on the plane, so to speak. And so I guess they didn't allow me to participate on the plane. So I'm back. Um, right. I'm back here just trying to do our darnest, right? Just trying to do our darnest to keep you updated on what's happening and what's going on around the world, right? And what's going on in our part of the world, primarily in the Western Hemisphere, and the likes, right? So I am so excited, right? I'm so excited to be actually experience some of what is happening here in Japan. I can't wait for some of the other people to get on the show. So I'm tempted to start the conversation, but I'm not sure yet. What do you guys think? I'm not full 100 yet on starting it, but there's so many things happening on your side of the world. Uh, we're talking about things like um, still Charlie Kirk conquering the media, still, uh, the the rejuvenation of the Jamaican Prime Minister in his. I believe this is his third term, the start of his third term, but I think his fourth term overall. Um, he, within a couple of years, he will become, uh, if he stays alive, he will be the longest serving prime minister outside of former PNP Prime Minister Percival J. Uh, uh, Patterson. Um, Outside of him, although Michael Manley did serve uh, uh, 2.5 terms, um, he served 72, 76, and then he became prime minister again in 89, and then he left office where he relinquished office to PJ Patterson, and then Portia Simpson did serve 2 terms, and Edward Seaga served 2 terms from 1980 to 1989. And so, he will now become the longest serving prime minister during this term. And if he does last the 3 terms, he will be the only prime minister who have served 3 full terms and not step down and give it to somebody else like is normalcy in Jamaica. Charlie Kirk, what's going on, and a lot of cancel culture based upon his conversation around racism in America, around overly conservative values, depending on who you're talking to, and the backlash of Black America looking at condemning his murder, but not condemning his silence is probably a good way to put it, right? They're condemning his murder, absolutely condemning the murder, but not condemning his silence because of the conversations that he brought up, and the talks of hatred that he brought up in the American diaspora, political and otherwise, right? And you see a lot of African American preachers and individuals are actually talking about his negative impact on society. And so, before I go any further, hello to all of our villagers, anywhere you are in the world. Do pop in, say hello. Thank you, Jalen. Thank you, Brandon, for saying hi out there on Facebook, on YouTube. And that reminds me to remind everyone, please do subscribe and like. Just don't subscribe, but also like as you build. Today's show, our guest today is primarily around, he's an author. He has written several books. One of them is a trilogy. But he's also talked about, your son. Is your son ready to leave the house? And also Blacks in America, like 18 to 48 years old and still not owning a home. And what are some of the impediments to that, which also includes understanding the need to own a home and be strong in that household. So at any point, we could chime in. So one of the things that I was looking at is that New York and New Jersey failed to adhere to flying the staff, the flag at half staff, because of the president's wish. And the thought process is that we're not willing to fly the flag at half staff because of essentially what Charlie Kirk represented, right? So both New York and New Jersey, the governors declined to follow former president, to follow President Trump's directive to fly the staff at half staff for Charlie Kirk, right? after his assassination, or depending on you look at it, after his murder, right? And again, that to me that's debatable whether you want to say he was murdered or assassinated. Um, some people feel that he was just murdered. He's just he's just a crime in America, as in any other crime, a high profile crime, nonetheless, but still a crime in America. And Trump had ordered to lower in honor of him, right? Uh, you know, some local officials in New York argued the directive was politically motivated and not fitting for a national figure. So again, that remains the next question. Is Charlie Kirk, or was Charlie Kirk, a national hero, right? I feel that when you fly the flag at half mast, right, it means the person who died left a positive, indelible mark on society, primarily American society. What are your thoughts, right? What are your thoughts on that? Love to hear from you. You can obviously call in. As a matter of fact, I didn't even set that up yet, but I can do that right now. You call into our station. Our phone number is on the screen, but if you don't have it, it's 347, right? 347-746-6598. Again, that's 347-746-6598. You can call in with your comments, your commentary on the issue. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about what really is America thinking. Obviously, you can put your comments on screen. We'll try to address them as quickly and as smoothly as I can, right? So many people feel that Charlie Kirk behavior and persona was not on equal par as a John F. Kennedy or a Robert F. Kennedy, Gandhi, or Martin Luther King, or Medgar Evers. And so when President Trump argued or asked to fly the flag at half mast in representation of this individual, it's a disrespect to America, right? It's a disrespect to American ideal and ideology, right? But the other part of the argument is that isn't America viewed on having the ability to have your own ideas, right? Having your own ideas, having your own wealth, having your own girth in society. What is, right? So silencing one individual, right, makes it, hey, good evening, Star Girl, right? Yes, I am representing my colors. I'm going to talk about world champs, right? Because I'm waiting for the others to come on, because I'm going to brag about being in Japan. Exactly what they want to hear. Hey, the village pessimist, how you doing? What's going on, Brutus? Hope you're enjoying your weekend. What did you write? people may not agree with Charlie Kirk, but he didn't deserve to die. Right. There's a fair point, and again, I'm just asking people just hit the like, hit the love button on our program. Don't subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. I think it's twofold, right? It's talking about Charlie Kirk. It's twofold. It's death in America, silenced in America, right? It's two different arguments, right? I don't think that anybody would, well, that's not true. Let me correct myself. I personally don't believe that he should have been killed. Right? I don't think I will ever agree to anyone taking the life of somebody else, even though I tell people I believe in public hanging, right? And then that always brings up a controversy. But it's not, I don't believe in killing people willy-nilly, right? I say that, although I will never support corporal punishment or capital punishment to that level, because I know the ramifications of it. I'm not, so don't get me wrong. So it's silence in America and death in America. Jamaica. I'm wearing my Jamaica shirt, but murders in America and crime and violence in America has always been a part of the American culture, right? Right. It has always been part of the American culture of violence. Our Second Amendment gives you the right to bear arms, right? So if it gives you the right to bear arms, then it is a direct indicative of what America, the foundation of America, right? First Amendment is the freedom of religion, speech, the press, and so forth. The Second Amendment is the right to bear arms, right? So it's like 1 and 2, right? But would you place his death or his murder on the same plane as JFK, as Robert Kennedy, as John Kennedy, as Malcolm X, as Medgar Evers? Do you place his death on the same level? That's where the question comes in, right? In order to look at the half-mast or half-staff of a flag, there are people who believe that, right? There are people who believe that he was talking about a nationalistic America that other countries have, right? So he's just bringing some ideals from other countries and making it homegrown, and he was silenced because of that. I don't know. I think it's just a question. I throw it out there. You can give your opinion on it. I could tell you 100% I do not believe in his rhetoric. Yeah, right. I don't believe in it. I do believe that many of his thought processes were negatively motivating, and it put down a lot of marginalized people. And I believe personally that the movement of America in creating opportunities for American was not his strong point, and it didn't allow. Well, I'm sorry, it was his strong point, but it's not the strong point of America, right? To build on that, and then to see the amount of individuals who were silenced, right, because of him. Even Jimmy Kimmel at this point, who has said a lot of things, right? He said a lot of things, and then to see that he was now canceled because of what he said on his Tonight Show, his program, right? So he was like, calling him different, basically just saying what he is, right? And that also follows up with canceling cultures about speaking the truth, right? Um, it's the opposite, right? One talk this and the other talk that. So this one needs to be canceled, but this one needs to be revered. So I would say this to all of our villagers. I think ABC is wrong. ABC is very wrong for canceling Jimmy Kimmel, but chose not to. Fox choosing not to cancel Charlie Kirk, right? If it, if it was good to keep Charlie Kirk on the air, then it should be good to keep Jimmy Kimmel on the air. So are you saying that the comments of Charlie Kirk was acceptable and it was okay for him to talk about hatred in America, but it's not okay for Jimmy Kimmel to address the negative and criticize what was happening? So it's a good question, right? And so, but it's again, I don't want to make it sound like it's not just Jimmy Kimmel, right? Jimmy Kimmel is just one of the persons that America wanted to cancel. So Jimmy Kimmel is just one of them, right? That they want to cancel. So in his monologue, Jimmy Kimmel said the MAGA gang was desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them, and of trying to score political points from it. So the person that they arrested, a 22-year-old, was white. Because, as one black pastor said, it was white on white crime. Like black and black crime. Did you fly the flag at half mast? I mean, as a black man, did you fly the flag at half mast when for 8 minutes and 46 seconds you stepped in the neck of a black person? Right? You can't say, I mean, seriously, over a misdemeanor, you kill a man, right? Because literally he was already down, right? So you kill the man over a misdemeanor. Was that acceptable? Was it, you want to remove even the idea of Dr. King's holiday, right? Who was shot and killed at age of 39 for his approach to making America a great place to live in. I don't know. Just throwing it out there. I'm waiting on. So I don't know, Chris, you want to chime in? There are a couple other topics we could move on from this. I don't know if you want to come on for a little bit and have a conversation before our guest comes. I don't know. That's up to you. Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and I didn't see that. My glasses broke. All right. So it turns out, hey, Chris, how you doing?
Good. How are you? Good evening. Right. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Andre's in class and John is coming on in a little bit, but it's just exciting. There are a couple of things that that are here in my topic piece that we're talking about. But the big thing before you got on, I was talking about, so many things happening on different sides of the world. But in America is still, I've left now for 9 days, but still is consumed with what happened to Charlie Kirk. I look at the Charlie Kirk situation for me as an opportunity to talk about race and race relations in America and to show the major disparity in race and race talks, right? It's to me in white America, or not white America, but conservative America, it wasn't okay to talk about Black Lives Matter because it really didn't matter. But now you have on the far right a case of white on white crime of silencing a ultra conservative white guy, and now it's not okay, right? It's not okay to have done that, and I think that's where the conversation comes in. Why is it not okay to the far right for those people on the far right, but for those same people on the far right, it was okay, and people of color shouldn't have been upset about the George Floyd, the Malcolm X, the Martin Luther King, because there is no racism in America. There is no none of these things. So I don't know, just a thought.
Yeah, and I actually tuned in when you were talking about if this death or this murder is on the same level of JFK or Malcolm X, or right. And I think it's a pretty adamant no for me, that it's not, it shouldn't be treated as the same level. And when you mentioned George Floyd, was there any call for half staff for his death? Like,
Right.
so obviously there's still disparity, no matter what rhetoric we might hear about, yes, there's been progress, but there's still disparity, and it's very clear and evident. And you must be living in a bubble if you think otherwise.
You know, one of the things is it's like I don't want to use the word hero, or, well, you definitely villainize George Floyd, right? You 100% did that. And because it was a police officer that did it, it's like you can't call him out, right? You didn't want to call him out that this act it doesn't represent all police officers, but this police officer was rogue. And this behavior should not have been tolerated on the police force. And if this is widespread, it needs to be addressed. Like Donald Trump was not willing to address it on that level. But now you're making a tremendous scene about Charlie Kirk, which you should, right? You should. Nobody, in my purview, nobody deserved to be killed, right? But you're making a tremendous ordeal about this, and yeah. So I have some, you know, that also to me in my mind, if Donald Trump, President Trump, and what's the name, the guy from North Carolina? Every time I forget his name, the senator, and Lindsey Graham, and the rest of them, who, if you don't see the disparity, something is wrong. So how are you doing? How's everything going?
Oh, everything's going well. All my kids are back to school now. So that's been interesting because my oldest daughter is now in a different school. Mm-hmm. And we've had a little bit of mix-ups with the school bus pickup. Like the location of the pickup and the timing has all been off for the first couple of weeks. So we've been dealing with that, because every other year I've just been responsible for pickup and drop off, but this year she's got a school bus, so we're getting used to the somewhat unpredictability of that.
Yeah, I'm having issues with my son's school bus, my youngest son's school bus as well, because, well, one is the pickup is always the same place, but it's the pickup time and then the drop off time at school. So, he has been late to school. What is it, 8 or 9 days of school? Or I'm not doing any math, but he's been late about 75 to 80% of the time, and his teachers are marking him late. So I called the school to complain about it, and I guess I'm going to do it again.
Yeah. So the one good thing about her new school is that if the lateness is due to the school bus, she's not marked tardy.
No, they will remove it, right? They will remove the lateness, but I had to call a couple of times for them to reverse the attendance. And I'm like, first and foremost, I don't like him showing up 20 to 25 minutes late for school, regardless of being marked punctual or not. Because at the end of the day, if you do 20 to 25 minutes for 5 days, you're missing over 2 hours of learning, right? Or whatever is happening from 8 to 8:25, 8:30 in the morning. That's you're missing 30 to 40% of one class every day. That's a long time. But
Yeah.
I think we're going to bring the guest on. I know he's scheduled to be on at 8, and I know that you are also pressed for time. So I'm going to have you start with that. Kevin, just give us a thumbs up when you're ready, and we'll bring you on the air. As soon as you are ready, Mr. Blaze, we'll bring you on. If not, we can talk about something else, because there are a few other things to talk about as well. All right. There are a few other things to talk about as well. Dr. Bryant, how are you doing?
Hey, good evening.
Welcome. So I was just saying to our guest, if he's ready to come on, let me know. So we'll bring him on screen. I don't know. Can you hear me, Kevin? All right. Okay. I guess he can't hear me. Hold on. Let me bring him on for a minute. Mr. Blaze, good morning. How are you? You're on screen.
Good.
You're on screen. You're on screen.
All right.
Welcome to the Village. Welcome to the Village Radio Talk Show. I am Roger Daly. I am your host. Just joining us is our co-hostess, Dr. Bryant, but I think she had some parent at school. And then on top is our guest host, Christopher, Mr. Lou. He's a financial guru, and one of your books is about Blacks in America. And I want him to take the lead on those questions. But before anything gets started, I think Dr. Bryant has her favorite question. So Dr. Bryant, what's your favorite question?
Hey, first of all, thank you for joining us this evening. Our listeners would love to learn a little bit more about you. So please introduce yourself to our listeners.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you guys for taking the time out to have me on tonight. I know time is very valuable, and I appreciate you spending some of yours with me. I'm Kevin Blaze, self-published independent author. Currently have 6 books out. Grew up in Flatbush, Brooklyn. Born in Crown Heights. I grew up in Flatbush. I'm a product of the New York City Public School. I graduated Midwood High School, and I worked as a sheet metal worker. HVAC is my trade by nature. After high school is what I did. Pretty simple person. I like to have a good time. I like to have good conversation. I like to travel, barbecue. I love to barbecue, and it's not much about me that that's spectacular that I can boast about. But what you see is what you get. I'm pretty average person from Flatbush, New York.
You know what? You sound like you are on a dating app. The way
I
you
was
just I'm like, wait, what the heck is happening? I'm sorry.
You know,
Yeah.
it's a habit that I have, man. I have a habit of not tooting my own horn, and I need to break out of it. Honestly, you know, I do
It
need to
sounded
break out of it.
yo, Kev, for a moment there was like, yo, what's your number, dude? You know, what's your number?
All right. Wait. I want you to stop and correct yourself. You said there's not too much to brag about. Writing a book is something to brag about. Taking time to reflect and be creative and share yourself with others is something to brag about. So take that out of your vocabulary.
Yeah, 100% correct.
I think the conversation. I like what you're saying, but it's really around, you know, giving. In my purview, right? I don't know what your belief system is, but it's like giving thanks to God for what He has allowed for you to be able to accomplish. Right? I mean,
Right.
to me, you seem like a very young man, and clearly unmarried. Based upon your dating app. I'm just.
We gotta judge up the dating app a little bit. Okay.
Right, but you, I mean, think about it. You know, John, our co-host, who will be on in a little bit, one of the things that he talked about is like, you know, if for Black folks, if you want to do something for them, put it in a book, right? And you've sat down and you've written 6 books, right? So let's get into it. I know I don't have our Chris for a little bit, so we're going to talk about Blacks in America, right? 18 to 48 years old and still not own a home. But you can connect that to, it's your son ready to leave. Is your son ready to leave home, right? So I guess they can be connected a little bit. So let's Chris, fire away. What's your first question? What do you know?
All right, sounds good. Well, before I even ask my first question, Kevin, because you mentioned barbecue, what's your favorite thing to throw on the grill?
Steak.
Steak. All right.
100%.
Jerk or just regular steak? Just
Regular steak.
regular
steak. Yeah.
You should have said
All
jerk. You would
No,
have I would have invited myself over.
The jerk would be the chicken.
All right. Kevin, thank you so much for joining us. And my first question, actually, all my questions are really about Blacks in America, 18 to 48 years old and no house.
Okay.
I think that is a question that hits hard, and I think it's intentionally hits hard.
Right.
But it speaks to a generational crisis and something where we have to break the cycle and make a call to action. So my question to you, Kevin, is what motivated you to write this book? Like, in other words, was there a specific moment in time where you said to yourself, I need to write this book?
That's an excellent question, and the story behind it is a funny one. I had no intention of writing this book. It came about by chance. I was in a mentorship class for Dogs of the Wild. You know, creative writing, fictional writing is my passion, and I paid $997 for mentorship on how to get my book out there. So basically $1,000, and I got into the class, and everybody's book, even the instructor's book, was pain and upliftment, awareness, you know, motivation. It had nothing to do with fictional writing. So I was like, I think I wasted my money. But when I go into schools and I talk to students, I always talk to them about creating options and opportunities with the hand that's dealt to you. So I sat back. I had purchased some properties earlier. I had a credit restoration business. I knew about these things. I made mistakes when I purchased my first house. So listening to the class and what everybody's book was about, I said, I actually have some valuable information that can help. And I put the book together. And in the beginning, it was outselling everything else that I had. You know, it was by chance that I did that book, and people have been very, very thankful for it.
That's an amazing story. And if you don't mind me asking a follow-up on that based on what you said, you had mentioned that you made some mistakes
Right.
in the first property that you bought. What were some of those mistakes?
Not getting an inspector is
Oh.
which is a mistake that a lot of people make. I was fortunate enough in my first house that it didn't affect me, but my second house, it affected me tremendously. So not getting an inspector, not getting my own lawyer in my for the closing, the real estate agent, everything was connected. So I speak about it in the book that you have to get everything on your own. Unless something is recommended to you, you have to make sure that the people that are working with you are not working together against you behind your back, because a lot of that goes on. Oh, don't worry about it. My inspector will take care of everything. Don't worry about it. My bank will take care of everything. And next thing you know, you're left holding the bag and you got the raw end of the deal. So it's very important for people that seek to get their own house to do the due diligence and get their own people to work for them. Lawyer, inspector, bank, everybody has to be vetted and chosen by you, not given to you by the real estate agent.
I think that's really, really good advice, Kevin, because actually in my experience with real estate as well, I often do hire my own inspector, and it's actually beneficial for us as buyers to do
Right.
that, because they may be able to identify concessions, right? Where the seller has to now address the issues that your inspector has found with the home, either by fixing it first or taking that off the price.
Off the price. Yeah. I had
So
sorry.
can I say something? I'm glad you mentioned about the inspection, but also you can, if you do put in an offer, make sure that you put inside of the contract, that is based upon the inspection, so that that's your default. If the inspection comes back wrong, you can actually opt out of getting out of that contract. So it's important that you do that. I can piggyback off of what you said in regards to a home that I almost purchased years ago, and it was, after the inspection, it was a no. Two homes. I did the same thing before I moved to Long Island. One, the foundation was gone,
Right.
but it was for sale by owner. And a lot of people think, hey, we're going to do it for sale by owner. During that time, that was very, very popular. Hey, for sale by owner, they're not going to tell you everything. And I kept wondering, why was the children, there was a child there, a baby, always sick. Come and find out, the baby's room was full of asbestos. So they knew that, but and thank God I went the day after it was a rainstorm. The basement was completely flooded. They had, it looks great, it smells great, everything looks spicky span. But if you do not, it's not a waste when you spend $700 or $800 to get an inspection done. It's worth it, because then you can find out about the electrical, you can find out about the foundation, you can find out about the roof. So it's key thing. If you're purchasing a home, you're going into a major relationship that might be 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. Guess what? It's worth that investment in getting the inspection done.
Totally. And in the grand scheme of things, we're sorry, my daughter is mimicking what I'm saying over here. I was gonna say that $700 in the grand scheme of things is not big compared to the six figures and that you're putting down on a house, right? So
yeah, it's just the people do not know that inspectors are part of the deal, that they should have their own inspector. So the more they know, the better prepared they'll be.
So
I'm
Kevin,
not. Is Chris saying something? I think he's muted.
yeah, I muted myself because my
okay.
daughter started turning off the lights, and I need the lights on in here.
So I have a quick question, Chris.
Yeah, go
What's the
ahead.
difference between an inspector and an appraiser?
The difference between an inspector and an appraiser. That's an excellent question. The inspector works for you. That's number one. They're gonna report everything that is wrong and put it in the contract, and it has to be cleared up before the closing. If it's not cleared up before the closing, of some kind of negotiation has to happen, such as price being reduced or you maybe even walking away from the deal. So the
That part
inspector,
is important.
yeah. So the inspector, he works for you. The appraiser does work for you, but because I recommend you get your own appraiser as well. But the bank is going to send their appraiser to let you know the value of the house. The inspector doesn't let you know the value of the house. The appraiser lets you know the value of the house. They compare it to other sales that were recently done in the neighborhood, and they let you know at, I forgot the exact time frame that they try to do the comparison with the sales, but they compare with the recent sales what you have going on in your house, and then they give the report to the bank. But it's also in your best interest to have your own appraiser as well. So those are the two main differences between appraisers and inspectors. One is for the bank and the other one is for you. Even though the bank sends their own inspector that works for them, but you have your own inspector that works for you as well.
Yeah, thank you. I wanted to you have a lot of terms here, and maybe Chris wanted to talk about some of those terms that you talk about that would help. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking to Christopher. Christopher. We're talking both of you. Both of you. We're talking to Kevin Blaze, author of Blacks in America, The Dogs of Trilogy, Is His Son Ready to Leave Home, and several other books that he talked about. Right now, we're focusing on one of them. He holding it up. There you go. Right. And so we're here with Christopher Liu, our financial person on the village, just to have some questions around home ownership and what does that look like in Blacks in America. And you have a lot of terms in your book, right? A lot of terms. I don't know if Chris has a couple other. I know Chris has a few more questions for you, but let me ask this one question before I give Chris that question. When purchasing a home, okay, let's go back. Why name the book Blacks in America, 18 to 48? Why name it that? What is the crisis or the need? Whatever you want. Why name it that book?
That's an excellent question. And in the middle of me writing the book, Ronald Martin had a guest on, and he pulled up the numbers. I think it was called the Black Real Estate Caucus. I can't remember exactly, but he let us know that as of 2018, the average age for Blacks living in America to purchase their first home was 48 years old. So that's the reason that I've made the title what it is. Why is it from high school at 18 years old? Why is it taking us to 48 years old for the average Black to purchase their first home? We own more houses in America in the 60s than we do today. So we're going backwards. Now, why is that? And that's the reason that I named the title the way I did, so that it would be eye-catching, because a lot of people, when they read the title, they say, wait a minute, this is hitting home. This is relating to me. So they either want to learn more or they want to just run the opposite direction.
Understood.
Well, that's an interesting stat that that Black Americans own fewer homes than in the 60s.
Yeah.
Is that an absolute number or on a percentage basis?
That's on a percentage basis.
Okay.
Yeah, that's on a percentage basis. Like we're going backwards, and a lot of people are getting negative feedback when it comes to wanting to purchase a house. Like they're getting a lot of people telling them they can't do it, or they have people that are around them that never purchased, so they can't explain it. They can't explain the process. I'll give you an example. I was at an event in Florida, and I was vending, and the gentleman next to me had two daughters. Actually, they're New York City public school teachers, and they were renting an apartment and they got evicted. And they couldn't understand why. She was like, we're great tenants. what's going on here? Why did we get evicted? And what's going to stop this from happening again? So she told herself she's going to purchase a house. So her father, who was actually the vendor next to mine, he had excellent paintings. He's telling her, are you crazy? You can't get a house. You're not going to be able to take care of a house. And I asked her how she learned the process, because we were talking. She was telling me what her father was telling her. And she said she went on YouTube. So a lot of times people around you would be a negative force when you're trying to do something positive. And it's information. Once you learn the information, then you can master it.
Yeah, and actually, so that in that case, it was the father, right, that was pushing that negative information. That actually like goes right into my second question, which is, it's about our education system and about the discussions that we have at home with our own family. And those discussions rarely include any discussion of financial literacy.
Right.
And our education system, I think that's one kind of crucial area that is lacking. At least in most states. I know there are some states that require some financial literacy, but I think it's a really big gap. What would you say, and this is like probably related to that question, what would you say is the most misunderstood part of the home buying process?
The most misunderstood part, I would say overall, it's lack of information in general. You know, when I talk to people about my book, what you just said is exactly what I tell them. I said, we're not learning it in school and we're not learning it at home. Once you learn something, you master it. So it's just a lack of information. And that's another reason why I put the book out there, because once they read this book, like Roderick was saying with the terms, I put a bunch of terms in there, but I put them in real simple form. I call the book Simple but Powerful, because it's a lot of powerful information, but a very simple read. So now that they have the information, now they can formulate a plan. Now we can start to talk about the economics at home. Because why, if somebody, a younger person has some sort of financial literacy, they're going to say, wait a minute, if I'm paying $2,000 a month rent in 2 years, that's $48,000. Why would I go and I rush out of the house to do that when I can have $48,000 to put towards a down payment, to put towards some closing? You know, now we're going to start to get that conversation going. And I talk about those things in the book as well, so that the conversation can be had about the economics part of it.
Yeah, and I think one of the more amazing things that you do is simplify it, because I think a lot of times in the financial industry and real estate, all these terms, like I almost feel like it's designed to confuse people, because a lot of times there are synonyms and 3 or 4 terms that actually mean the same thing. And it's almost like they did it that way on purpose to make it more complicated than it actually is. So like simplifying things, that's awesome.
I think the first time people hear these terms shouldn't be when they go to speak to a loan officer. I think they should already know these terms before they go speak to a loan officer. So nothing is catching them off guard. They're not looking up at the loan officer signing away saying, you sure this is okay? You know, they should know these terms and be able to ask questions. And that's exactly what the book does. It's not an advanced real estate guru purchase book. You know, it's a beginner's understanding of purchasing your first house.
And yeah, I have just one last question, Roderick, because I know I have to drop in a few minutes. But, you know, circling back on all of this, what are some of the tangible things that we can do other than reading the book, which obviously that's an important piece, but to address the problem of, you know, Black Americans being left out of real estate and in some ways regressing, like you said, since the 60s, owning fewer homes than in the 60s. Like what are some tangible things that we can all do?
Get informed is one thing, but learn how to deal with each other so that we can live with each other longer. You know, a lot of times you have families that come from overseas and they live together for a few years and they all leave and purchase houses. For some reason, it's a big battle when we're living together. I think we have to be a little more patient with each other and considerate in order to accomplish the bigger picture, which would be saving the money while you're at the nest to be able to put your down payment down. I think if we learn to deal with each other better inside the household, we would get much further. If you work together, you'll get much further. And for some reason, it's a big battle when it comes to us doing that.
I totally agree. Like pooling together funds,
Right.
like to purchase a house that you can all live in together, and then eventually, as you become more economically independent, then you can branch off. I have such a crazy story, Kevin. My grandmother's brother had 5 children. All of their families lived together in one house in Freeport with all of their grandchildren.
Mm-hmm.
So there's 30 plus people living in a house.
Mm-hmm.
And they did that probably for 10, 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
And now each of the families has their own house. So it's almost like exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
And I want to, I sensitive to the fact that there may be cultural differences, and I'm Chinese, but I will say my wife is Jamaican, my best friend is Guyanese, so I'm Caribbean by association. But in Chinese culture, there is a very strong family, they like to support each other and tolerate each other. Because you mentioned be more tolerant. Yeah, they don't always get along,
Right.
but I think they understand the bigger picture.
Mm-hmm.
And that family was able to do that, and it ended up in the long run being great. So I really love that you shared that tangible piece of advice, because I think that goes a long way. It's about sacrifice, right? Sacrifice your comfort for some time with a much bigger dream and goal, right?
Yeah, bigger picture, and be considerate. When you're living together with each other, be considerate. A lot of problems could be avoided if people were just a little more considerate with each other.
Yeah, one of the things that we speak a lot on The Village, and the purpose of when I started the show a few years ago and talking about the village and how to raise a community, right, is about generational wealth. And you touched on something that kind of and I think when Andre, when you were getting on board and we talk about it's a live program, so things kind of sometimes you come in with a thought okay, I'm definitely going to talk about this.
Right.
We have that opportunity, but sometimes in the conversation, it allows us to branch out a little bit and ask further questions that help to promote building the village. You talked about just now looking at rent for 2 years and say it's $48,000. Just a rough number, right? Depending on where you live in economic, it could be plus or minus 10,000, right? Depending on where you live. Why is it important for the generational? One is about the generational wealth, and two, to realize the dream. Why is home ownership so valuable that you want to talk about it? Why is it? I mean, again, is your son ready to leave home, or Blacks in America 18 to 48? Why is home ownership so important and valuable to you that you really want to write about it?
That's an excellent question. One of the easiest answers for that, it's one of the easiest wealth building tools that are out there. You're going to pay to live somewhere. You might as well pay where you can get something back from it. If you're paying, and there's people that feel that owning a house is not their thing. It's your choice. If you don't want to own a house, you don't have to own a house. I'm not here to try to tell you you must own a house or you mustn't. But if you're paying rent and not getting anything on it, you're going to have to pay to live somewhere. So you might as well pay where you're getting a return on it. So it being one of the easiest wealth building tools is because you're going to be paying to live anyway. So you might as well get a return on what you're paying for, is one of the easiest answers I can say when it comes to why I suggest people, or why I feel it's so important for people to purchase a home.
So let me throw one monkey wrench for you in there.
Mm-hmm.
You said on page 44 of your book,
Uh-huh.
your place of residence.
Which book is this? Is your son ready to leave home?
Yeah. So you wrote, let me warn you loud and clear. Sons are going to move into these women's places. She will never respect you as
Uh-huh.
the man that you're supposed to be when you're living up in her place.
Uh-huh.
More than likely, she'll talk to you like a child,
Right.
treat you like a child, and disrespect you like the boy you are, especially in front of her friends and family. So what are you trying to say? Man, buy your own damn house before you move into the
Well,
That's exactly what he's saying. That's
Well-
exactly what he's saying.
So I'm gonna throw it out there. There's a woman in there on the show,
Uh-huh.
right? Dr. Brian,
Uh-huh.
agree or disagree?
Agree or disagree that he should have his own? Okay, so with that, I
Now,
wouldn't.
wait, hold on. I want to use your cultural background. I'm not talking
No.
about you.
So first of all, I would not treat a male, a man like a child, because I already have children. So I would not treat a man like a child. And second of all, a man is not going to come and live with me unless we're purchasing it together. That part.
Got you. I hear you. All right. So
Mic
do you
drop.
think that do you think that comment is correct? Chris, you were saying something because I know you got to drop.
Yes,
Go ahead.
sir. I have to drop now. But Kevin, this has been amazing. Thank you so much. I love to connect with you.
Yeah, definitely. I think I saw your email address in the. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
We'll talk. Thank you. Thank you for
Take care.
taking your time out.
Hi, Chris.
Chris, thank you for leading the charge in the questions. It's like I appreciate that.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right. So it's definitely about wealth management, right? Right, Kev? It's about building wealth. It's about building family. So let's, Dr. Brian, as usual, cop out on the controversial question. So
What?
let-
That wait. That was not a cop out. I said I would not treat a man as though he's a child. I did address your child's situation. I did say that. I
So
said,
do
and
you
first
agree
of all,
the question is, do you agree with him that a man should not move in with a woman, not about buying a home together, but he should have his own domicilia before he even thinks about the next step? I think that's what I'm getting from that.
okay, now that you phrased it that way, yes. She should have her own. She should have her own, and he should have his own. There you go.
So where do you live?
Then you have options, and you
See,
can purchase, and you can get us together. That part.
You know, I hear your point, Kev, a little bit. I'm trying to. I have 5 boys, right? That's what I have.
You have what?
5 boys.
Right.
Right. And I have a daughter, right? And one of the things that I teach my 5 boys is you need to have a home. You need to have a roof above your head, right? You need to have a roof above your head first. You need to learn to take care of yourself. And one of the things is like I was trying to teach them, but not all of them learn the same way, which is when you leave my house. First of all, my age was 25, right? That was my age. When you leave my house, you need to have your own place of residence. And so, because when you have your own place of residence, no one, if you're hungry or thirsty, no one will know. unless you tell them, because once you open the door and close the door behind you, nobody's inside your property. But I do like the angle of creating your own wealth. Start first with wealth. I believe in family first. So I said, start with your wealth and then build family, not happy-go-lucky and then do what you want. So it's just the concept that you brought in there that I thought was.
I agree wholeheartedly with that. Wholeheartedly. Because yeah, I agree with you. Start building and then you could do the family thing after.
Yeah, a lot of times in today's time we do a lot of things backwards. So what I want to try to get older men to bring to the younger men is to start to lay a foundation first. A lot of times older men, the first thing they do when they see younger men is, how many girls you got? You got a girlfriend? Like, if that's the most important thing, instead of asking them, what's your 5-year plan? What's your 10-year plan? Are you into any tech? Are you dealing with any stocks? Do you have any business ideas? They're making them think chasing women is the most important thing. And then a lot of young men say, all right, well, the older guys were doing it. Maybe I got to do it too. And then next thing you know, you have a child that you're not financially ready to take care of. So older men have to change the conversation. We have to change the narrative and start really telling the younger men what it is out here when you do things backwards.
Yeah, and child support is a bitch.
Right.
Right. It's not easy raising children. That part, they need to tell them the truth. That is not, it's cute or whatever. No, it's hard work. And it costs money.
I call it struggle children, because you're struggling, you're spending the best year of your life struggling to take care of children that you weren't ready to have yet. And the same man was put on child support at 22, at 32, at 45 with 3 different women. And the first question he chooses to ask a young man that he sees is, how many girls you got? Follow the same path that I followed.
that same man, let's add another thing to it. That same man who can't afford. Right, so we're going to add the word afford, right? Affordability, right? Because now you're paying child support, and you're paying child support like a pension, like you're paying into a pension, right? Because you can't take that money out, and child support is 17%, right? 17%, 25%, and 29, 31, or whatever the number is. So you're never going to have the opportunity, or very limited opportunity, to accrue your own wealth, and then it's like, oh, well, I sucked at this. This happened to me. So it's okay now for me to make it happen because it happened to me.
Right.
So
Right.
I don't want the buck to stop with me. I want to continue because, we got to be in our own misery. I want to segue and shift a little bit. I know we have another 10 or 15 minutes. We want to talk about your books, right? Let's talk about the trilogy. You want to hold that up? Tell us your thoughts behind it. I'd love to see a Black man as a writer. You talk about your own publisher. Tell us about it. The third one didn't come out yet, right?
Third one. No, right. Not yet.
So I think Andre has the second one, but this is the first one right here, called The Dogs of the Wild: The Rise of a King. What's the second one? Tell us the second one's name, and then tell us about the third one if you have a name for it or a new name.
The second one is called Dogs of the Wild: A Kingdom Awaits, and it's about dogs against wolves. They're battling each other for rulership over a mystical forest, untouched by humans. If you like action, suspense, thriller, it's a page turner. I've been getting a lot of great reviews. I have some beautiful illustrations on the inside. I'm going all the way to an animated movie, and there's a love story also in the mix. I had no idea that I was going to write. The same way I didn't know I was going to write Blacks in America, I had no idea that I was going to write Dogs of the Wild. I read a lot. I used to love to read. I don't get to read as much now because I'm extremely busy with creating and trying to get my name out there and so forth. It's like a full-time job. But I had an idea that I was sitting on. If you look on the back of Dogs of the Wild, you see Shadow in the bottom right-hand corner. That's my Rottweiler. So I had a Rottweiler named Shadow, and I'm sitting outside and I have an idea, And I sat on the idea for a little bit. Reading this particular book, it was a nonfiction book. Let's say we're in 2025, but it was from 400 years ago. I felt it was a little too detailed. If it was written in for 2025, it had too much details in it for it to be a true story from 400 years ago. So I put the book down and I said, let me try my idea with Shadow. I'm not a dog lover per se. I've always loved my dog, but if you were walking down the street with your dog, I wouldn't be, oh my gosh, he's so beautiful. Can I pet him? No, I just like my dog. So I wouldn't really say I'm a dog lover, but I've had a few Rottweilers in my time, and I've always been fascinated by wolves. So I said, let me try this idea. And I started writing. And once I started, I realized I was good at it. And I haven't stopped since, you know. It was another by chance thing. I didn't grow up thinking that I wanted to be an author. I talk about this when I go into schools too. I never met an author until I started putting my books out there. So there was no indication or introduction to me thinking that I can do this kind of work. I read a lot. I loved reading, but I never saw myself doing it until something told me to take a chance, and I took a chance.
That's awesome. Because I was just about to ask you what got you into writing, and you explained it. So interesting. Yeah. Sitting. Okay. Now, when you go, sorry, Roger, I want to ask something. When you go into the schools, what do you do with the students?
Well,
do you share your book, or are you doing the writing with them?
Say that one more time. I didn't hear you.
When you actually go into a school, what do you do with the students? Do you share your book, or do you actually write with them?
Well, I have different things that I can do with them. Right now, I'm relatively new to the DOE. I just got my DOE vendor's permit. So I've spent the better part of last school semester trying to introduce myself, you know, because what I'm talking about here is not normal. It's not normal to see coming from us. What I try to explain to the educators is that Shrek, Little Mermaid, Black Panther, they were all books before they turned into mega movies. And we're big consumers when those movies come out. But for some reason, we're not creating the work that turns into those movies. And that's a problem. Our students have tremendous imaginations, but the representation is what they're not seeing. A lot of the representation that they see is sports, music. You know, they bend over backwards to bring athletes into schools. 80% of the athletes go broke, and they're not talking about it. They bend over backwards to bring musicians into school, and they're ending up on Vlad TV talking about the mishaps. But the students are not seeing anybody that sat in the same seats that they sat in, went to the same schools, come from the same neighborhood that's doing something like this. A lot of the creation that we think we can do it revolves around power and empire. Meanwhile, Shrek is a $4 billion franchise that came from somebody's mind and was a book before it turned into a mega movie. So I'm trying to introduce that thought process to the educators so that they could say, wait a minute, we're leaving a big chunk on the table for these students, and it's a $285 billion industry. And then when I throw in that the fictional writing would actually help them with their exams, with the written part of their exams, it just opens up a whole nother zone for the educators to take in. So when I go in, I have a threefold mission. I want to get my books to an animated movie. I want to get my books into every school in New York. And I want to create fictional writers everywhere that I go, because I know that the ideas that these children have is unmatched. So I talk to them about my books. I talk to them about the movies. We get to talking about their favorite movies. And then I let them know that they were books. Like Spider-Man is a lot of people's favorite movies. Black Panther, they were books, even though they were comic books. Harry Potter, How to Train Your Dragon. What was the other one? Hunger Games. You know, these were books before they turned into mega movies, and they're a lot of people's favorite movies, and the students don't realize that they were books. So I have the fictional writing course that I am trying to get into the schools. I'm going to get into the schools. I have the career day. I do a lot of career days when I come in and I explain my journey as a writer to the students. So just so that they can see somebody doing something a little different, and that option and opportunity is out there for them to, now they say, if Kevin Blaze is doing it, I could do it. And that's all it is. They need to get the battery put in their back.
Just for the record, Kevin, Dr. Bryant she's doing a career day interview. I just thought I should tell you that. Right. She is an assistant principal, so I throw that out there. Well, I want to talk about your book. I want to focus a little bit more on your trilogy, Dogs of the Wild. Tell us a little bit. You told us about dogs versus wolves. Jack, the main protagonist, you used personification. I think that's the right literary term, where you gave the dog the character of a human being, and he's telling his life story as like an autobiography, right, through his lens, from October 1977 on up, right? So tell us a little bit about the book. Tell us, where do you see the book, the trilogy? Well, the trilogy normally means three. You're in your second, you're going to your third, but it sounds to me like you want to do more, like maybe even a spin-off. I throw a name out there, Kwame Mungo. He's actually my schoolmate. He writes anime. He's actually now a professor down there. He doesn't like me to say that, but what's that? Lupe, is that Lupita? Whatever, Mungo. I think she was from Black Panther, the main character, the woman.
Right.
I remember her name, but they're related.
Okay.
But anyway, he's into anime. He's from Kenya, and he's into anime. He likes these things. I don't know what this conversation means, but in my head as I'm making it, but I'm also thinking about your thought process in terms of creating a goal for your trilogy. And tell us a little bit about the trilogy itself. Tell us more than just the fight for the forest, right? Tell us a little bit more about that and the end goal of some sort. Not necessarily the end in, but the end goal.
Well, the end goal is for students to start to create as well. I want us to have our own amusement parks with our own characters in there. I'm quite fine with Batman being who he is, with Superman being who he is. I want our students to know that they can create their own characters. So that's a big part of my end goal, is for us to do the writing. And now it's a big shift going on. They want new IPs, new ideas, new creators. Now is the time to get in on that. So that's a big part of my goal. As far as the book is concerned, when I release book 3, I'm going to re-release it with an extended version. The main character in book 1 is Bruce. He's the grandfather, and he wasn't even a thought in the book until I started writing. So the main character in the book doesn't really come into the book until book 2. He's on the first page in book 1, and then he goes into the story of his grandfather, and he comes into the book in book 2. There's a lot of different animals in there. There's gorillas, there's lions, there's eagles, there's foxes, there's tigers, bears. There's all kinds of different animals in the book, and they're all choosing what side they're going to be on, or what side they're forced to go on. Falcons are in the book, and it's an amazing story where a lot of the story, the main character, William, his grandmother is also telling him the story, because she's alive and she tells him a lot about his grandfather, Bruce, who he never met. So it starts off with William telling everybody about Bruce, and then it transitions into
Jack. His name is Jack. His name is Jack, not William. We call him.
It actually transitions to his part of the story coming about.
Yeah. I appreciate Andre. Welcome to the show, and thank you for joining us.
Sorry, I'm late, like super late at the meet the teacher. So I just really got home.
I appreciate that. Just ladies and gentlemen, we're here with Kevin Blaze, author, his own publisher, the one-stop shop. We started talking about economic girth. Now we're talking about he's the author of 6 books that he wants to get out there. I have 3 in front of me, and then we could talk about the others in a little bit. But thank you for joining us in the village. Please love, like, share, subscribe, and participate on the village. Let us know questions and thoughts behind it. So 100% Kevin. We're talking about his fictional book, the Dogs of the Wild, and the inspiration and what the book is about, and how your kids can help themselves to learn from it. So again, thank you so much for this opportunity to talk to you, Kevin. Tell us something that you want young people, or wait, let me give Andre an opportunity to ask a question if he has one before we go to the closing.
I mean, I'm not sure if I have one, but I guess in terms, I heard Roger talking about the end goal itself, and I heard you mention something about even characters coming up even when you're writing. And so what is the writing process? What is your writing process when you're creating your books or developing the story? Like, what's your writing process like?
Thank you for joining us, Andre, man. I appreciate you taking your time out, but it's gonna sound crazy, but I listen to hardcore dancehall music while I'm writing. It's the craziest thing ever, man.
Oh man.
Because I'm old school. So right now you can speak your story into the app and it'll type it for you, but I still have to write. So I don't type it up myself anymore. I write it and then I read it into the app so I could avoid typing. But I do still write it out. So I put my music on and I just go. Like it's the craziest thing. I can't explain it. I don't even know how I discovered that, but it's the craziest thing.
It just happens along the way. Like even my writing process, really, every day, every moment, I get an idea, but I don't always have a book or so on me. So I just grab my phone. If it's a title that comes to mind, I drop it in there. If it's a idea, a character, I just put it in there as a way to just get back to it. And then when I get a time to sit down, I'm just going in the flow, just get into that state of flow.
That's what it is. It's the flow.
I need to know this writing app because I've been writing a book now for 4 years. Every time I start writing, I put it down. Like literally, I put it down. I'm doing an autobiography.
Awesome.
But don't say awesome. Because I've been a loser in terms of writing it. So maybe you and I can talk about how to, because I don't mind speaking, but I want to speak to write, right? So I want to speak the book in terms of writing the book into, so something that can just automatically write the word for me, and I just move to what I want. But
well, the fact that you even started the book is amazing. And I tell all aspiring authors, because I go out a lot with my books and I stand on corners and I ask anybody passing by if they have a moment to check out my work. And I run into a lot of authors and I run into a lot of people that say they want to write. And I tell them a page a day is over 300 pages in a year. If you do 3 pages a day, you're over 1,000 pages in a year. So it can just be small increments that you put towards it each day, and it's going to build because there's no rush. No rush.
So my question to that then is like, because some people have writer's block. What's your response to that? If they say writer's block, what's your response to that?
I've never really experienced it. I would say take a break. I would say take a break, refresh, and come back to it. I haven't really experienced writer's block. As far as the app that I was using, I want to say it was TEMU. But I started using my tablet does the same thing where I didn't have to pay for it. So the app that I was using in the beginning, it was I think it was 10 cents a minute when I was speaking it into the app. I do not remember off my head because I haven't used it in a few years. I use my tablet now. My son set something up on my tablet where when I'm ready to read it into the computer, it records it. So I would have to ask him what the name of it is. But I when I go into Word and I click on the top right hand side, there's a button that says dictate,
Gotcha.
and I start reading what I wrote into the mic on the computer. I even did an audio book for the Homebuyers book. I did it myself as well. You know, just speaking it into the mic and letting the computer record it.
Gotcha. Okay.
Was it difficult to become a publisher?
Extremely difficult. And
Ex-
I finished book 1 in 2012. Let me rephrase that. If you don't know what you're doing, it's difficult, because every book after the first book has gone very smooth. It's been really smooth ever since the first book. But I finished in 2012 and I had no idea what I was doing. You know, that's why I signed up for the $1,000 mentorship class. I had a couple different publishing companies that were about to rob me, and I invested in my work. You know, there's a brother on Instagram called Derek Grace. He has a lot of tattoos on his face. He became famous because his very young children were breaking down guns and putting them back together online. And he's a famous author. So back then, before he got really popular, he had a $299 consultation. And I paid the $299 and I got him on the phone, because how are you a best-selling author? This is what I want to do. And in the first couple of minutes, he put me in contact with his printing company, saved me thousands of dollars. I still print with that company up to today. So, you know, you have to invest in your brand. You have to get around people that have done what you're trying to do, and you have to separate from the people that are not elevating. You know, it's a very lonely journey, because nobody understands what it is that you're going through and what you're trying to do to get it out there. I'm not on Amazon. Everything is 100% independent from my website. Like I tell people, I've taken the Master P way, selling the books out of my trunk. Amazon has convinced everybody that that's the only way to sell your book. But in me speaking to so many authors, the three things they have in common is they don't have physical copies of their own books. They're all on Amazon and they don't have their own websites. Amazon, if you break any of the smallest rules, they'll lock you off of the site and not give you any residuals anymore. They don't give you an email list. You know, so these are things that I had to learn in the process in studying the business of what I'm getting into. You know, I do everything on my own, my distribution. I get my own editors. I get my own illustrator. I do my own printing through the company. So a lot of people have become authors, but they don't understand the business side of it. If Amazon was to block them today, they'll be starting over from scratch, because they wouldn't know what the next move is unless they look for another print-on-demand site. You know, so I think we as authors need to take our power back. You know, you're going down the same route as musicians, where they're streaming services and they're getting less than a penny a stream. You know, Amazon is taking the bulk of the money from the authors as well.
That's true. That is true. Do you attend any of the conferences? So there's plenty of authors, especially Black authors conference around. There was one in August, September, I know, in Martha venue, and then there's a couple down south. Do you participate in any of those?
Down south, I've done the All Black National Convention. That's not authors per se. They do have a lot of authors there. I've done InvestFest 3 years in a row. There's some that I was introduced to this year, but I reached out to them and I haven't heard back from them yet. But authors conventions, I'm not hugely involved with them, I would say.
So Kevin, first of all, Gail Granderson said that she's waiting for the opportunity to help with the essay writing contest. And then so the villagers saying hello. Ladies and gentlemen, please do love and like and share. We just got about a minute left, and I want to switch the conversation a little bit. So Kevin, I want to say thank you. How do people reach out to you? How do people out there in the village world or the general world, how do they reach you?
My fictional series is www.dogsofthewild.com. That's www.dogsofthewild.com. I have book 1 and 2 on there, and I also have my coloring book / activity books for book 1 and 2 on that website as well. Is Your Son Ready to Leave Home and Blacks in America 18 to 48 are on a separate website called www.18-48.com. That's www.18-48.com. Instagram is at Dogs of the Wild series, and the other page is at author Kevin Blaze, and the same is for Facebook, author Kevin Blaze. Oh no, Facebook is Dogs of the Wild.
And vendor license, how do they reach you?
My vendor license number?
No. Like, what would they look for? Just your name,
Yeah,
or
or they can email me at author. That's AUTHOR Kevin Blaze KEVINBLAIZE at gmail.com. If anybody was interested in discussing the services that I have, the commodities that I have. I also do have a home buyers book course, which I try to explain to the educators can actually be beneficial for faculty and parents as well. So community-based organizations, if they were interested in discussing how we can go about doing that course as well, as opposed to only the fictional writing course, I do have that available as well.
I thank you, author Kevin Blaze, for joining us on The Village today. It's been a more than a pleasure having a conversation with you, especially seeing a person of color from Flatbush, Brooklyn, kind of doing it on his own, talking about not just writing, but also talking about economic growth within the Black community. 18 to 48 years old, why we're not owning homes. You're talking about your next book, Is Your Son Ready to Leave Home? And right now, the trilogy that you want to get into schools and teach young people how to be author. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining us in The Village. And I'm actually looking forward to the essay writing that you plan to do with our community board and the likes. And hopefully a lot of schools will reach out to you and give you the opportunity to come and work with them. Thank you so much for joining us on The Village.
Thank you for having me. You guys were awesome. It went by really fast. It went by too fast.
Yeah, sometimes when you just start talking about good stuff, the time flies. I didn't get to talk about Japan, so think about that. So, I was looking forward to it. So, thank you so much again, and God bless you. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thank you. You guys stay safe. Bless.
Take care.
All right, thank you everyone for joining us on the Village Radio Talk Show. During this another week where we're dedicated to empowering the community to live a healthy, safe, and financially capable life through education, helping each one of us in realizing our dreams at any age, at any point, starting from today. Please don't forget to.
I want to wish my parents that.
Wait. I got you. Give me a minute. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our program each and every week. Share it, send it out there, cut and paste, whatever you need to do. A couple of birthdays too, right? Before I forget, I know that I'm going to forget, but happy belated birthday to Davisha. Happy birthday coming up to my cousin Oral and my brother Devin. They're all sharing birthdays and the likes. Yes, go ahead, Dr. Brian.
And happy anniversary. My parents are celebrating their anniversary today. And my brother, happy anniversary to him as well, him and his wife as well. So,
wait, your brother and your parents got married in the same date?
No, my parents were today, the 18th, and my brother was the 16th.
Married. What's wrong with you? What are you hiding it for? How long your parents been married?
49 years.
Oh, right. 49 years is a long time, almost 50 years. Right?
Yeah,
that's something to be proud of. You don't have people married that nowadays.
Yeah. And then my brother 3 years. So,
All right. Congrats. All right.
Yeah. So definitely tune in and thank you for joining us this evening. Enjoy Wait, Roderick, you're still in Tokyo, right?
Yes, I just came back to Tokyo yesterday.
Yeah. Okay, how is it?
Well, the time is up. We'll talk about it next week. There's so much to talk about, but we'll talk about it next week.
All right. Take care. Safe travel back home.
All right, Andre, you have anything to say? We're 4 minutes over, but go ahead.
He's
Oh,
not
Andre's
on.
not here. Oh,
Yeah.
Kevin, you have any parting words? I didn't realize Andre was on.
I
I'll give you a couple-
actually, I do have something I wanted to mention. I'm doing a Young Men's Summit November 16th. It's going to be the very first one. We're going to be doing it on Zoom. So I would send more information to you guys as information is ready. But it's a Sunday evening, and it's a young men's summit.
What's
And
the age?
November 16th.
What's the age?
13 years and up is what we're
Okay.
aiming for.
Okay.
All right, I appreciate that. And thank you all the villagers. Thank you for tuning in. God bless. Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.